Hello traders, and welcome to the weekend update for November 10th, 2024. Steve Ganz here. I'm going to walk you through what I'm seeing in the markets right now at this point in time. So I'm going to start off by looking at the SPX. I'm going to go ahead and close my image up here. Don't need that in the way. But looking at the SPX, one of the things you'll notice, we've been in a very solid uptrend. Excuse me. We've been in a very solid uptrend, and that channel is defined by these green lines you see here. Now, one of the other things that has come into play recently is we have blown out of the top of this channel, and our lows are much higher lows. We're not coming down to the bottom of this channel. So anytime I have what I would consider to be three contiguous points here, I like to draw in a trend line, and in this case I've drawn in a lower trend line, then I've drawn in an upper trend line, and we'll notice here that we're building what's called an increasing wedge or an uptrending wedge. Now, these wedges more often than not tend to break out to the upside. They can also consolidate, start to chop sideways into a new channel. They often don't break to the downside. Now, for those reasons, this is kind of my expectation of the market outlook for the next 30 days. I'm cautiously bullish on the market. We've had obviously significant rallies that have been driven by strong earnings reports, positive economic indicators, the election outcome, and just having that behind us with some cleanness to it where there's no ambiguity as to what's going on and who is in fact going to be the next president. So all of those things are leaning me bullish, along with this ongoing chart pattern that you see right here, combined with the dramatically increased upside volume that comes into play as well. This tells me, of course, lots of upside pressure, so that's another factor coming into play here. Then we will also look at SPY, which is to some extent a mirror of SPX, but my three channels that I've drawn previously remain intact here as well. And although we are starting to get to the top of this very steep channel, so here, rather than drawing the large channels that I had drawn on SPX, I've broken it into these three waves that we can take a look at. But we can see here that our up volume also is significantly higher than some of the recent days. Lots of green up bars. Then we look at volatility. Volatility is back down almost to all-time lows. So that also is another indicator that our markets are probably more likely to be moving to the higher side in the foreseeable future, or at least not moving to the downside significantly based on what is known to us right now. There's not fear in the markets. People are not out there, buying insurance on their long positions. That's what the VIX tends to be. This is a reading of how uneasy people are or how nervous they are. The more people that go out there and buy insurance and buy puts, VIX is going to be going higher, and that's basically a reading of there's a lot of unrest in the market. So we're just not seeing that right now. Markets are pretty steady. People are based on their insurance buying. It's telling us that right now your average person has very little fear in our current market. When there's not fear, greed tends to take over. Greed is what drives markets higher. And so for those reasons, I'm projecting, again, optimistically bullish. So at the end of the day, there's just a lot of different indicators that are leaning bullish. Then we also take a look at the RUT, the Russell 2000. That is hugely bullish. Big pop on the Russell, which is a small cap index. Now, the Russell has not made new highs yet. Back here in 21, the Russell was a little bit higher, but it's starting to knock on the door of pushing to all new highs as well. And I do think there's a possibility that that could pop out of the top. Now, in the meantime, I'm thinking that it might chop sideways in a channel here, maybe in that 2450 range to about the 2300 range, maybe down here to the 2275 range, somewhere in there. But the Russell's certainly bullish as well, and it is looking to pop to all new highs. The Dow Industrials, which I don't normally look at because it really is only 30 stocks, they are at all new highs as well. So again, virtually all of our indexes are hitting all new highs. Look at the NASDAQ, same thing here, all new highs. You can see that wedge pattern that I had drawn in here quite some time ago, and that wedge pattern broke out here as well, which is upside wedges that more often than not is how they tend to play out. So that's going to complete the outlook of the market, kind of the weekend update here for this weekend. So thanks everyone.